Welcome. My name's Carly, and this short yoga sequence is for yogis who are looking for more complicated and interesting transitions. So let your eyes close gently and begin your ujjayi breath. Breathing deeply into your belly. On your inhale, your stomach expands. And on your exhale, it contracts. And as you settle all your awareness in your belly, noticing your breath, you're pulling all the parts of yourself into this moment and into your body, letting go of the past, letting go of the future, giving yourself the gift of being fully present in this brief time we have together. And the offering today is saying yes to life. This notion of when you say yes to life, it says yes to you. And rather than this idea of resisting the things we don't want, working hard to fight against them, what happens if you soften into whatever life is bringing you and unleash and unwrap that fist, soften it? And maybe there is something beautiful there waiting for you. But because you've been in resistance and pushing back and saying no, you haven't gone through the door of what life is offering you. So the invitation during this practice is to play with that idea of saying yes. So when you're in an asana that feels tight, or maybe you don't like, and your mind is turned on and it's saying, well, I don't like this, or I'm not going into this deep enough, or I don't like the way this feels, can you catch yourself and just say yes? And notice how when you say yes, your body softens in response. You uncurl that fist. And maybe there's some tightness or pain or some pent up, stuck emotion in your body that can then release just a little bit in that moment. And as we practice today, while we're moving our bodies, this idea of saying yes, the way I teach is that when you embody a practice like saying yes, when you're moving your body, it grounds it, it embodies it, and it allows you better to carry that idea, that practice into your day, and remembering to play with that throughout your day. That idea of saying yes. Where in your life can you let go a little and lean into trust? Lean into trusting life. Go through that door. And keeping your eyes closed, let your head fall to one side, getting a gentle stretch in the side of your neck. And often we spend so much time resisting going through the door that life is showing us, that we're creating so much more trauma and stress for ourselves rather than just opening the door and seeing what's on the other side. Trusting, coming up and bringing your head to the other side. And so the invitation is just to play with that idea with your body today, that idea, that word, yes, and see what happens. And bringing your head upright. And now opening your eyes and making your way into table pose. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your head and heart, widen your collarbone. And on an exhale, you lift your belly up into your spine and drop your head. Inhale, lifting your head, dropping your belly. Exhale, dropping your head. And moving through cat and cow on your own breath and introducing anything that feels good. Maybe that means you're doing circles with your belly. Maybe that means you're turning around and looking behind you, left to right side, and making a banana with your spine. Maybe that means you're taking your hips down over your feet and doing cat and cow forward and back. Give yourself permission to explore this. How does this feel for you? It's your practice. So what changes can you make in every single asana and shape I call out that would make that pose a yes for you? What changes do you have to make every single shape a really strong yes? And meet me in a neutral spine and take your knees back an inch or two and tuck your toes and lift your hips up into the first downward facing dog. Walking the dog. Taking a deep inhale through your nose, and on your exhale, look forward and walk to a forward fold. Inhale, halfway flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise to standing, hands above your head. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Plant your hands, step or hop back to plank. Lower all the way to the ground. Inhale, cobra to start. Pushing back to downward facing dog. Inhale the right leg high, three-legged dog. Exhale it forward between your hands, lowering your back knee. You're in a low lunge now. Maybe you lift your hands to the sky. Maybe your hands are on the mat. How is this a yes for you? Letting go of that idea of having to make all the shapes that the instructor is calling out, and how do you create your own practice within any practice you're doing in any moment? Straightening that front leg, lifting the toes on the front foot, folding forward. Taking your hips forward, placing your left hand on the ground inside of your right foot, turning to your right knee and coming into a twist. Maybe you lift the hand. Maybe you bring your hand into a half bind behind you. Bringing your hand back up and in front of you, bending your back knee, walking your hands over to the left side and turning, making a straight line. Your left hand is on the ground behind your left knee and you're in gate pose with your right leg straight. Right toes face the front of you, pushing through the outside edge of that right foot, lifting up through your heart. And if you do this practice regularly, you'll get to know the transitions and it'll become like a dance. and sitting down onto that foot, walking your hands back in front, tucking the toes on your back foot, lifting that front foot up to the ceiling for three-legged dog. Option to chung forward into plank. Keep your foot lifted as you chaturanga. Up dog if it is in your practice. And downward facing dog. Beautiful. Breathe. Remembering that it is a practice, it's not perfect. Being kind to yourself, softening into your body, softening into your yes. Inhale your left leg high. Exhale it forward between your hands. Lower your back knee. Low lunge. Straightening that front leg or not. You can have it bent, but your toes are lifted up. That's the only thing that needs to happen here, is that your toes are lifted. Maybe your hands are on blocks. Maybe you're leaning forward deeply. Maybe you're upright. Taking a deep inhale through your nose, and on your exhale, softening your shoulders. Walking your hands forward, bending that front knee, placing your right hand on the mat inside of your left foot. Turn to your front knee and come into a twist. Maybe that lifted hand is behind you, maybe it's to the sky. Giving yourself permission to explore and see what is a yes for you. You get to make those changes for yourself. And as you take that back hand and bring it over next to your front hand, you walk your hands around to the right and you straighten your front left leg. And you take your right hand behind to the back of your mat, straightening your body out and finding gate pose with your left hand over past the top of your head. And your left leg is straight and your toes face forward. Lifting through your heart, pushing through the outside edge of that left foot. Gate pose. And as you sit down on your hips, you swoop and bend that left knee and come back to the front. And now you're in the low lunge once again. Tucking the toes on your back foot, you're going to ground into your hands. And that foot that is under your face lifts up behind you for three-legged dog. Option to keep it lifted as you chunk forward into plank and chaturanga. Flow through your vinyasa. Maybe you skip the vinyasas and go to down dog. Maybe you're in cobra. Inhale the right leg high, three-legged dog. Exhale it forward between your hands. Keep the back knee lifted. Keep the left hand on the ground. And turn to face your right knee and lift your right hand. Revolved side angle. And we're going to lower that back ankle inward to the ground as you windmill your hands up and open up to warrior two. Softening your shoulders down, sinking your hips lower. Exhale your elbow to your knee and find your version of extended side angle. Lifting through your heart, sinking through your hips. We're going to do somewhat similar transition coming to your back leg. So we're going to slowly, simultaneously windmill our hands up, bend the back knee, Straightening the front leg. Now your hips may stay high or you may squat over that back leg for Skandasana to the back. And as you push through the ball of that back foot, you're going to find crescent to the front of the room in a low lunge. Step that foot underneath you to the sky, three-legged dog. Chunk forward, flow through your vinyasa. Inhale the left leg high. Exhale it forward. Keep your right hand on the ground. Turn to face your knee. You can have your hand to the sky or in a half bind. Revolved side angle, your version. How do you make this a yes for you? And then you're going to simultaneously turn around to the right side as you bring your back heel onto the mat. Open it up to warrior two. Then find regular side angle, lifting through your heart, sinking through your hips. And as you lift your heart up, you're going to bend your back leg, lift the toes on your front foot, find Skandasana to the back. And then you're going to turn back to the front to find your low lunge. Lift that front foot up behind you for three-legged dogs. Chunk forward, flow through your vinyasa. Bend your knees, bringing your shoulders over your wrists. Hover your knees for a moment. Put the weight into your toes and take your hips back to down dog. Push through your toes and allow that to take you forward to plank. Bend your knees and hover them. Straighten your legs out, down dog. Push forward, find plank. Now this time in plank, if you want to drop your hips and flip your feet to find up dog, maybe that feels good. Flip it back and hover your knees. Down dog. Trunk forward into plank, lower all the way to the ground. Push back and find your Savasana. Because you're done with this quick morning practice, good hip opener, a good practice of finding your yes for the day. So you can either lie down and find corpse pose, or you can just find a seated pose. Or maybe you want to practice the flow again as you get used to it. What do you have time for? How do you make this a yes for your practice? We're going to finish very briefly, closing your eyes, relaxing your shoulders, letting your hands fall comfortably on your knees, finishing how we began, breathing into your belly. How can you lean into trusting life? What are the places in your life that you can soften just a little bit? Let go of some of that resistance. Move into a yes. And notice what happens. If it feels right for you, you can think of this as a playful thing, dancing with life a little bit, softening into your yes. Hoping you can find ways to soften and open up in your life and in your day today, beautiful one. Thank you for practicing with me today. Namaste.